As you settle into rest, feel your body gently supported, its weight easing into stillness, its rhythm slowing, like waves becoming calm against a quiet shore. We begin tonight not with urgency, but with reverence for the remarkable vessel that carries you. The human body, though familiar, remains quietly wondrous. It is not a machine in the cold metallic sense, but rather a living, breathing landscape, organic, soft, and self-aware. It is not a single entity, but a community of systems, each one playing its role in the ongoing concert of life. And like all good concerts, no part plays alone. Tonight, we'll walk slowly and thoughtfully through these systems. We will listen, in a sense, to their functions, learn their patterns, and appreciate how they support not just survival, but a kind of graceful balance, known as homeostasis, a word that means internal steadiness. This balance is maintained without your needing to command it. Even now, as you breathe gently in and out, countless processes are unfolding beneath the surface. Blood flows, nerves signal, cells divide, glands whisper their messages in the form of hormones. All of it, silent, seamless, unseen, and yet all of it, you. To begin, let's consider what a system is. In human anatomy, a system is a set of organs that work together to perform specific tasks. These tasks are often broad, like circulating blood, or digesting food, or sensing the world through light, sound, and touch. Each organ in the body is made from tissues, and each tissue is made from countless cells, tiny units of life that carry out the instructions coded in your DNA. The same DNA, cell to cell, yet performing thousands of different roles, depending on where each cell resides and what it's designed to do. Some of your cells pulse with electricity, others swim in fluids, others stretch like threads to form muscles, others stand as silent protectors in the skin or bone. These cells form tissues, tissues form organs, and organs in turn gather into systems. And what are these systems? In total, the human body is usually described as having 11 major systems, each with its own specialty. These include the nervous system, which senses, interprets, and responds; the endocrine system, which communicates through hormones; the circulatory system, which delivers nutrients and oxygen; the respiratory system, which brings air in and carbon dioxide out; the digestive system, which transforms food into usable energy; the urinary system, which filters and regulates fluids; the immune system, which defends and heals; the muscular system, which allows for movement and posture; the skeletal system, which supports and protects; the integumentary system, your skin, hair, and nails guarding the outer surface; and the reproductive system, which allows life to continue across generations. There are also the sensory subsystems: vision, hearing, taste, smell, and touch, each with their own finely tuned machinery. These are not sealed compartments. They cooperate and overlap. For instance, the cardiovascular and respiratory systems work together every moment to deliver oxygen to your cells and remove carbon dioxide. The endocrine system and nervous system coordinate countless reactions, merging speed with subtlety. You might think of the nervous system as the body's fast-acting electrical grid, and the endocrine system as the slower, longer-lasting chemical signaler. Together, they keep the body alert and adaptive. In turn, other systems join in, forming what could be called a biological symphony. And like a symphony, the body thrives not in constant crescendo, but in rhythm. Rhythms of breath, rhythms of heartbeat, rhythms of waking and sleep, hunger and satiety, tension and rest. As you lie here, the tempo of your own body is shifting, slowing, softening. Perhaps your muscles are unwinding. Perhaps your breath has settled into a longer, quieter pattern. These are not coincidences. They are signals that your systems, all of them, are entering their nightly mode of repair and regulation. Sleep, as we now know, is not a pause in life, but a vital phase of restoration. It is when tissues mend, memories are filed away, and hormones are carefully adjusted for the day to come. This gentle balance is known as homeostasis, the body's ability to maintain a stable internal environment, even when the external world is full of change. Temperature, hydration, pH levels, blood pressure, all of these and more are monitored and regulated by your body's systems, mostly without you ever noticing. And so, tonight, as we explore these systems one by one, we do so not to memorize them, not to master them, but simply to observe them softly and allow their stories to ease us into rest. Each part of the body has a purpose, and each system a story, but together they form you. In the coming sections, we'll look more closely at each system. We'll learn how the nerves carry thought, how the heart moves blood, how lungs trade gases with the air, how food becomes energy, how the skin shields and senses, how the brain and hormones govern the rhythms of life. We'll begin, gently, with the architecture of life itself, how cells become tissues, how tissues become organs, and how organs become systems. But for now, you may simply rest in the knowledge that beneath the quiet of your evening lies a whole world of living structure, working together in peace. You don't need to control it. You are carried by it. Part 2. The architecture of life, from cells to systems. Now that we've gently opened the door to the body's systems, let us step a little closer. Let us begin not at the level of whole organs or bones, but at the level far smaller, the quiet foundation of it all, the cell. Each cell in your body, whether it lies in the skin or heart, liver or lung, shares a common ancestry. And though their shapes and roles differ, some are wide and flat, others round and mobile, all carry the same essential blueprint, your DNA. Your body contains around 30 trillion cells. Trillion, a number almost too large to grasp. But imagine this. If each cell were a grain of sand, your body would hold enough to fill an entire beach. Each of these grains, these cells, is alive. Within them lie intricate structures, known as organelles, little organs, in a way that carry out specialized tasks. Mitochondria produce energy. The nucleus stores genetic instructions. Ribosomes build proteins, all moving in quiet, rhythmic concert. Most cells are surrounded by a thin membrane, selectively allowing nutrients and signals to pass in and out. This membrane is not a wall, but more like a well-trained doorkeeper, discerning, responsive, and precise. Cells group together to form tissues. There are 4 main kinds of tissue in the human body, each with its own quiet artistry. First, epithelial tissue. This forms the outermost layers of your skin, the lining of your stomach, the walls of blood vessels. It covers and protects. It secretes and absorbs. It is the boundary between your inner world and the one outside. Next, connective tissue, found in ligaments and tendons, in cartilage and bone, in blood, and even fat. It binds structures, cushions organs, supports frameworks, and holds the body in form like a soft but sturdy web. Third, muscle tissue. This type enables movement, voluntary or not. Skeletal muscles flex and extend at your command. Cardiac muscle, found only in the heart, contracts in steady rhythm. Smooth muscle, found in organs like the stomach or bladder, contracts without your awareness. guiding flows and functions. Finally, nervous tissue. This tissue is special. It communicates using tiny pulses of electricity and chemistry. Neurons, the main cells here, carry signals with remarkable speed. They sense, process, and instruct, forming networks that span from your fingertips to your brain. Tissues then come together to form organs. An organ is not defined by size or shape, but by purpose, and by its cooperation among tissues to fulfill that purpose. The heart, for instance, is composed of muscle tissue to pump, epithelial tissue to line, connective tissue to hold shape, and nervous tissue to regulate its pace. The stomach mixes and breaks down food with muscle contractions and digestive juices. Its lining protects itself from acids. Its nerves respond to fullness or hunger. It's not just a sac, it's a symphony of interaction. Each organ plays a part, but no organ acts alone. Organs that work together form systems. Let's softly revisit those systems. Now, with a clearer lens. The nervous system includes the brain, spinal cord, and nerves, a fast-acting communicator of thoughts, sensations, and reflexes. The endocrine system includes glands like the thyroid, adrenal, and pancreas, slower in speed, but broader in scope, releasing hormones that drift through the blood to distant organs. The circulatory system, also known as the cardiovascular system, includes the heart, arteries, veins, and capillaries transporting blood, oxygen, nutrients, and waste across vast internal terrain. The respiratory system comprises the nose, trachea, lungs, and diaphragm, drawing air in, exchanging gases, and maintaining the delicate levels of oxygen and carbon dioxide. The digestive system includes the mouth, esophagus, stomach, intestines, liver, and more, breaking down food, absorbing nutrients, and eliminating what is no longer needed. The urinary system, made up of kidneys, ureters, bladder, and urethra, filters the blood, regulates fluid balance, and removes excess salts and wastes. The immune system is dispersed, found in white blood cells, lymph nodes, bone marrow, and the spleen, quietly defending you against infection and remembering what it has seen before. The muscular system moves bones and organs alike. Every blink, every step, every heartbeat is its quiet work. The skeletal system is your framework, not rigid like a statue, but living and responsive, composed of 206 bones, joined by cartilage and ligaments, all growing, remodeling, and mending as needed. The integumentary system, your skin, hair, and nails, shields you, senses the world, and helps regulate temperature. And the reproductive system, differing in male and female forms, allows for the creation of new life through complex sequences of hormones, cells, and structures working in close timing. Each of these systems, though described separately, are deeply interwoven. They rely on one another, support one another, and in many cases share the same organs. The lungs, for example, belong to the respiratory system, but also influence the pH of your blood, the rhythms of your heart, and even your emotional state. The liver is part of the digestive system, but also plays roles in detoxification, metabolism, blood sugar regulation, and hormone processing. The skin protects, yes, but also senses, communicates, and even synthesizes vitamin D when touched by sunlight. In this way, anatomy is not rigid. It is more like a woven cloth, threads of function, running in multiple directions. And woven through all of it is a simple truth. The body is not built in parts. It is experienced as a whole. You don't need to tell your stomach to digest, your heart to beat, or your kidneys to filter. These systems, these organs, these cells, they carry on, guided by millennia of quiet intelligence encoded within. So, as you drift deeper into rest, you may find comfort in this. You are not a passenger in your body. You are your body. And that body is both ancient and alive, delicate and durable, complex, and yet always finding balance. In the next part of our journey, we'll turn to the nervous system, that intricate network of thought, sensation, and subtle control. But for now, rest in the quiet knowledge that from a single cell to the most intricate system, every part of you is doing its gentle work. Part 3. The nervous system, a network of thought and reflex. Now, imagine for a moment a web so fine that it threads through every part of your body, your fingertips, your spine, your eyelids, even the tiny folds within your ears. A web that carries sensation and thought, action and response, constantly flowing in both directions. This is your nervous system, a vast, living lattice made of specialized cells, all designed to detect, to process, and to respond. It is, in essence, your body's communication network, fast, intricate, and deeply intelligent. At its center lies the central nervous system, or CNS, composed of the brain and the spinal cord. This is the command center, tucked safely within protective bone, the skull, and the vertebrae. From this quiet core, messages are sent and received, instructions given, memories stored, patterns refined. Surrounding and extending from this core is the peripheral nervous system, or PNS, the nerves that travel outward like rivers branching from a source. They reach into your hands, your legs, your organs, everywhere, ensuring that the entire body is aware, responsive, alive. But what exactly travels through this network? The answer is electrical signals, impulses that pass from one nerve cell or neuron to the next. These impulses are created by shifting tiny ions, charged particles, across a cell membrane. The result is a tiny current, not unlike a spark of static, but here it is purposeful, directed, and nearly instantaneous. Each neuron is a marvel of structure. At one end, dendrites receive incoming signals like branches catching wind. At the center lies the soma, or cell body, housing the nucleus and managing the cell's health. And stretching away from the soma is the axon, a long cable-like extension, often wrapped in myelin, a fatty insulation that speeds up the signal's journey. Some axons, such as those running from the spine to the toes, can be over a meter long. At the axon's end is the axon terminal, where the electrical signal prompts the release of chemicals called neurotransmitters. These molecules cross a tiny gap, the synapse, and bind to the next neuron, continuing the chain. This dance of electricity and chemistry forms the basis of everything your nervous system does. It allows you to sense the world, the heat of sunlight on your skin, the sound of a soft breeze through leaves, the taste of something sweet. It also allows you to move, to raise a hand, to blink, to take a step. But it does more than react. It remembers. It imagines. It learns. The brain itself is a complex structure, divided into major regions. The cerebrum, the largest part, is responsible for thought, decision-making, and voluntary movement. It's divided into two hemispheres, left and right, each with its own specialties, yet working together seamlessly. Beneath it lies the cerebellum, smaller but dense with neurons. This part coordinates balance and movement, helping you walk smoothly, write with precision, or even speak without stumbling. At the base is the brainstem, a narrow, essential structure that controls breathing, heartbeat, and digestion, functions you never need to think about, and yet rely on every moment. Together, these regions form a quiet command post, constantly interpreting signals from the senses and sending back instructions to muscles and glands. Meanwhile, the spinal cord runs from the brainstem down through the spine, acting as a highway for signals. Along the way, nerves branch off between vertebrae, connecting with the limbs, torso, and organs. In many cases, the spinal cord acts on its own. These are known as reflexes, fast, automatic responses that bypass the brain. If you touch something hot, you might pull your hand away before you even feel the pain. That is your spinal cord acting first, protecting you swiftly before conscious thought catches up. The peripheral nervous system connects the brain and spinal cord to the rest of the body. It contains two branches, the somatic system, which controls voluntary movement, and the autonomic system, which governs involuntary processes like heart rate, digestion, and pupil dilation. The autonomic system has two further divisions. The sympathetic division prepares the body for action. It is sometimes known as the fight or flight system. It quickens the heartbeat, dilates the pupils, and diverts energy to the muscles. The parasympathetic division, by contrast, promotes rest and digestion. It slows the heart, calms the body, and facilitates healing. This is sometimes called the rest and digest mode, a state you are likely shifting into now, as you listen quietly and drift deeper into calm. Though we often think of the brain as a singular mind, it is more like a council of different regions, overseeing memory, emotion, sensation, and logic. The limbic system, buried deep within, handles emotion and memory. The hippocampus helps convert experience into long-term memory, while the amygdala filters fear and arousal. Even in dreams, your nervous system is active. The brain continues to organize information, reinforce learning, and restore emotional balance, often in symbolic or surreal ways. And through it all, this vast system remains profoundly resilient. Neurons communicate, muscles respond, glands obey. It is a silent coordination, effortless, seamless, and endlessly repeating. As you rest now, your nervous system continues to guide every beat of your heart, every breath you take, every shift in temperature or position. You need not command it. It simply serves with perfect precision moment after moment, night after night. In the next part of our journey, we'll move to the endocrine system, a softer, slower communicator, one that uses the language of hormones to sustain balance and growth. But for now, allow your nervous system to soften, to quiet, to drift into stillness, where even thought itself may rest. Part 4. The endocrine system. Silent signals in the blood. Let us now turn inward, even more deeply, to a system that works without a sound. It does not speak in pulses of electricity like the nervous system, nor does it move visibly through the body like breath or blood. Instead, it whispers through the bloodstream, using messengers called hormones. This is the endocrine system, a network of glands and tissues that send chemical instructions to faraway parts of the body, messages that float quietly in the blood, guiding growth, regulating temperature, setting hunger and sleep, shaping emotion and fertility. While the nervous system is fast and immediate like a spark, the endocrine system is slow, enduring, and expansive. Its effects unfold over minutes, hours, or even days, and linger gently. The word endocrine comes from roots meaning to secrete within, and that is what these glands do. They release hormones directly into the bloodstream, without ducts, without tubes, simply dissolving their signals into the liquid that flows through you. The hypothalamus, a small structure deep in the brain, serves as the bridge between the nervous and endocrine systems. It monitors the body's needs, hunger, thirst, temperature, and adjusts hormone release accordingly. Just beneath it, like a quiet command post, lies the pituitary gland, often called the master gland. It may be no larger than a pea, but its influence is vast. It releases hormones that affect growth, reproduction, water balance, and the functioning of many other glands. From there, signals ripple outward. The thyroid gland, shaped like a butterfly and located just below the throat, governs your metabolism, the pace at which your body uses energy. Its hormones influence how quickly your cells work, how warm you feel, how alert or sluggish your thoughts may seem. Behind the thyroid are the parathyroid glands, 4 tiny dots that control calcium levels in the blood. Calcium is more than a mineral for bones. It is vital for muscle contraction, nerve function, and the release of other signals. The parathyroids ensure that these levels remain precisely in balance, moment by moment. Perched atop each kidney are the adrenal glands. Their outer layer, the cortex, produces hormones related to stress, salt balance, and sex hormones. Their inner part, the medulla, releases adrenaline and noradrenaline, priming the body for sudden action. When you feel your heart race, or your pupils widen in response to surprise, it is often the work of the adrenal medulla responding not with panic, but with preparation. The pancreas, nestled behind the stomach, serves 2 functions, one digestive and one hormonal. In its endocrine role, it releases insulin and glucagon, which regulate blood sugar. After a meal, insulin helps cells absorb glucose for energy or storage. Between meals, glucagon tells the liver to release stored sugars, maintaining a steady flow. The gonads, ovaries in females, testes in males produce sex hormones. These guide development at puberty, influence fertility, and help regulate cycles of readiness, rest, and reproduction. The pineal gland, deep within the brain, secretes melatonin, a hormone linked to the cycles of light and dark. As night approaches and light fades, melatonin levels rise, inviting drowsiness and setting the stage for restful sleep. When dawn arrives, they fall again, a quiet switch that helps align the inner world with the outer sky. Every hormone released into the blood has a target, a cell or tissue equipped with special receptors. These receptors act like locks, and the hormone like a key. Only the right combination will trigger a response. For example, oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, promotes trust, intimacy, and social connection. It is released during birth, nursing, and even gentle touch, signaling safety and care. Cortisol, another hormone, rises during stress. It helps mobilize energy, suppresses inflammation, and sharpens awareness. But prolonged elevation can wear the body down, making rest and recovery vital. Hormones are carefully regulated through feedback loops. When enough of a hormone is present, the gland slows or stops its release, a natural thermostat for the body's chemistry. Occasionally, these loops are bypassed for special purposes. Childbirth, for instance, involves a positive feedback loop. Stretching of the cervix triggers more oxytocin, which causes stronger contractions, which cause more stretching, and so on, until the baby is born. Then, the signal ceases, and the body gradually returns to baseline. This system, though dispersed across many locations, acts in concert, balancing, adjusting, responding. It is easy to overlook the endocrine system. We do not feel our glands working. We cannot hear our hormones move. But without them, we could not grow, or sleep, or recover from illness, or prepare for danger, or fall in love. And while the nervous system gives us quick awareness, the endocrine system gives us internal rhythm, cycles of wake and rest, of hunger and fullness, of tension and ease, of life beginning, growing, pausing, and returning. Even now, as you rest, the glands continue their quiet work. Your pituitary may be releasing growth hormone, aiding in repair. Your thyroid may be subtly adjusting your body temperature to match the cool of night. Your pancreas balances your blood sugar after your last meal. And as the darkness surrounds you, your pineal gland pulses out melatonin, soothing you into deeper rest. All without noise, all without thought, only a quiet knowing that the body takes care of itself when given time and peace. In the next part of our journey, we'll explore the circulatory system, a river of life flowing through your body, guided by a steady heart. But for now, simply breathe and know that your inner chemistry is in good hands. Soft, silent, and balanced. Part 5. The circulatory system, a river of life. Let us now follow the flow, not the flow of thoughts, but the flow of life, silent, pulsing, constant. This is the circulatory system, sometimes called the cardiovascular system, a closed loop of vessels and chambers that carries nourishment, oxygen, warmth, and messages across every part of your body. It is, in many ways, a river, but one that never rests, a river made not of water but of blood, and at its center, the heart steady, strong, and enduring. Your heart beats over 100, 0 times a day, every day. Its rhythm is set not by your thoughts, but by a cluster of cells, a natural pacemaker, known as the sinoatrial node, located in the upper right chamber. This node sends regular electrical pulses, soft but precise, triggering contraction after contraction. The heart itself is a muscular organ, about the size of your fist. It sits slightly left of center in the chest, protected by the rib cage and cushioned by the lungs. It has 4 chambers, 2 atria above and 2 ventricles below. Blood enters through the atria, passes downward, and is then pumped outward by the ventricles with each heartbeat. This cycle repeats every second of your life. Let us trace the path, slowly and clearly. Blood low in oxygen returns from the body into the right atrium. From there, it moves into the right ventricle, which pumps it out to the lungs through the pulmonary arteries. In the lungs, the blood releases carbon dioxide, a waste from metabolism, and gathers fresh oxygen from the air you breathe. This gas exchange takes place in tiny air sacs called alveoli, where blood and air meet across the thinnest of membranes. Now rich with oxygen, the blood flows back to the heart, this time entering the left atrium, then moving into the left ventricle. From here, it is pumped out with great force through the aorta, the body's largest artery. The oxygen-rich blood travels to every organ, every tissue, every living cell. And when its work is done, when the oxygen has been used, the blood returns again, completing the cycle. This is known as double circulation, one loop to the lungs, another to the body. Efficient, unending, perfectly timed. The vessels that carry this precious fluid come in 3 main forms. Arteries carry blood away from the heart. They are thick-walled, resilient, able to withstand high pressure. The largest, the aorta, branches into smaller and smaller vessels, down to arterioles, and eventually to capillaries. Capillaries are the smallest blood vessels, so narrow that red blood cells must pass through them in single file. They form a vast network, weaving through every tissue, allowing exchange of gases, nutrients, and waste at the cellular level. Then, the blood begins its return journey, flowing into venules, then veins, and finally reaching the vena cava, the large veins that empty back into the heart's right atrium. Veins have thinner walls than arteries, and often contain valves, small flaps that prevent backflow, ensuring the blood always moves in the right direction, especially as it travels upward from the legs. All of this movement, this circulation, is carried out by the blood. And what is blood? It is not a single liquid, but a suspension, a mixture of solid components floating in plasma. The plasma is pale yellow, mostly water, and carries nutrients, hormones, proteins, and waste. It's the transport medium, the current of the river. Within the plasma float red blood cells, soft, round, and filled with hemoglobin, a molecule that binds to oxygen and gives blood its red color. Each red cell lives about 120 days, traveling the full circuit of your body, again and again. Then there are white blood cells, fewer in number, but vital in function. These are the defenders, part of the immune system, patrolling for invaders, marking and neutralizing threats. And finally, platelets, small fragments that help form clots. When you are injured, they rush to the site, creating a temporary seal to prevent blood loss and begin repair. This quiet coordination ensures that your body is nourished, defended, and balanced from scalp to soles, from skin to marrow. But the circulatory system does more than deliver and collect. It also helps regulate temperature. When you're warm, blood vessels near the skin dilate, allowing more heat to escape. When you're cold, they constrict, preserving warmth for the core. This silent adjustment continues even now. As you lie in comfort, your temperature held steady without effort. The lymphatic system, often considered a companion to the circulatory system, also plays a role. It collects excess fluid from tissues, filters it through lymph nodes, and returns it to the bloodstream. Along the way, it supports immunity, watching, remembering, responding. All of this, taken together, forms a living, flowing system, a river that never stops. And like any river, its flow is shaped by its landscape, your posture, your breath, your activity, your rest. As you lie still now, your heart may be beating a little slower, your blood moving with less urgency, your vessels widening slightly, your entire system shifting into a state of renewal. The parasympathetic nervous system, which governs rest, sends signals to slow the heart, to relax the vessels, to invite the circulatory system into its nighttime rhythm. This rhythm is natural. It is ancient. It is yours. Your blood has traveled the entire length of your body in just a minute. It has delivered oxygen to your brain, fuel to your cells, warmth to your skin, and now it circulates with ease, sustained by the quiet labor of your heart, a gentle reminder that your body is always at work, even as your thoughts soften and your breath slows. In the next part of our journey, we will follow that breath into the respiratory system, where air becomes life. But for now, rest in the flow, the soft, steady pulse of the heart, the gentle current of blood, the river of life within. Part 6. The respiratory system, the breath within. As we drift further into the quiet workings of the body, let us follow the soft rhythm of something constant, something effortless, something as ancient as life itself. Breathing. Inhale, and oxygen enters. Exhale, and carbon dioxide leaves. This simple act, so automatic, is guided by the respiratory system, a collection of organs and passages that draw air into the body, extract what is needed, and release what is not. The process begins at the nose or mouth, openings through which the outside air is welcomed inward. The nasal cavity warms the air, filters it with fine hairs called cilia, and moistens it before sending it down the winding path. This air then passes through the pharynx, the shared hallway of the respiratory and digestive tracts, and then into the larynx, the voice box home to the vocal cords, which can hum, whisper, or remain still. From there, the air enters the trachea, a sturdy tube made of rings of cartilage, flexible, yet firm, guiding each breath into the chest. The trachea divides like the trunk of a tree, splitting into the bronchi, two major branches that lead into each lung. These branches divide again and again, becoming narrower, more delicate like twigs, until finally they reach the bronchioles, the tiniest of airways. At the very end of these bronchioles lie clusters of tiny sacs, called alveoli. They resemble bunches of grapes, soft, spongy, and abundant. There are about 300 million alveoli in a healthy pair of lungs, each one surrounded by a delicate web of capillaries. It is here, in this silent meeting place, that gas exchange occurs. Oxygen from the air passes through the alveolar wall, into the thin walls of the capillaries, and binds to the hemoglobin in red blood cells. At the same time, carbon dioxide, a byproduct of metabolism, flows in the opposite direction, leaving the blood, entering the airspace, to be exhaled. This entire process is called external respiration, and it happens with every breath you take. But what causes the breath to move? The answer lies in a dome-shaped muscle beneath the lungs called the diaphragm. When you inhale, the diaphragm contracts. It moves downward, flattening, expanding the chest cavity. This expansion lowers the internal pressure, allowing air to rush into the lungs, drawn by the vacuum created. At the same time, the intercostal muscles, which lie between your ribs, contract as well, lifting the rib cage slightly upward and outward. Together, they create space for the lungs to expand. When you exhale, the diaphragm relaxes and rises again. The chest cavity shrinks, and the lungs gently deflate, pushing air out not forcefully, but with a soft recoil. This cycle repeats, day and night, awake or asleep, more than 0 times each day. And yet, we rarely notice it. It is the nervous system that sets the rhythm specifically, the respiratory centers in the brainstem. These centers monitor levels of carbon dioxide in the blood and adjust the rate and depth of breathing accordingly. Breathing also shifts with mood. When calm, the breath is slow and deep. When anxious or active, it quickens. But with intention, as you might notice now, it can also become slower, deeper, even more peaceful. This is known as controlled breathing, and it invites the body into a state of restoration. The breath, in turn, slows the heart, quiets the mind, and signals the body to let go. The lungs themselves are light and elastic. They do not have muscles of their own, but rely on the diaphragm and chest to expand and contract. They are housed in the thoracic cavity, one on each side, protected by the rib cage and separated from the abdominal organs by the diaphragm. Each lung is wrapped in a delicate membrane called the pleura, which provides a frictionless surface for movement. The space between these membranes contains a thin fluid, allowing the lungs to glide smoothly with each breath. While the lungs are nearly symmetrical, the right lung is slightly larger, divided into 3 lobes. The left lung, accommodating the heart's position, has only 2. Though primarily responsible for gas exchange, the respiratory system has other subtle roles. It helps regulate pH by controlling levels of carbon dioxide. Since CO2 dissolved in blood forms carbonic acid, its removal affects blood acidity. The respiratory system also plays a part in sound production. As air moves over the vocal cords, it creates vibrations, allowing us to speak, sing, whisper. It contributes to smell by carrying airborne particles into the nasal passages, and it aids in immune defense, with mucus and cilia trapping dust and microbes before they reach deeper tissues. All of this happens with each breath. As you lie still now, your lungs are moving gently, drawing in oxygen, releasing carbon dioxide, quietly, rhythmically, faithfully. Your breath is your companion, always there, from birth to death. It is the bridge between body and mind, between the conscious and the unconscious. Even as you sleep, it carries on. Even in dreams, it flows. Even now, it continues. You might notice the feeling of your chest rising and falling, or the soft air at your nostrils, or simply the quiet assurance that your body is sustaining itself effortlessly. In the next part of our journey, we'll explore what happens to the food you eat, how it is broken down, absorbed, and transformed in the digestive system, another rhythm of the body. But for now, breathe slowly, gently, deeply if you wish, and rest in the soft cradle of your own breath. It has always been with you. Part 7. The digestive system, a slow journey through nourishment. Now that we've followed the breath, let us follow another path equally ancient, equally vital, but hidden deeper within. This is the path of nourishment, the slow, continuous journey of transforming food into energy, fueling every cell, every heartbeat, every breath. This is the work of the digestive system, a long, winding passage that begins at the mouth and gently unfolds all the way to the body's quiet exit. It is more than just a way to eat. It is a complex rhythm, a silent transformation, a patient unraveling of nutrients from the meals we enjoy. The journey begins with the mouth, not only the opening through which food enters, but the place where digestion truly starts. Here, the teeth gently break down food into smaller pieces, not with violence, but with purpose. Each chew increases the surface area, making it easier for the next steps to begin. At the same time, the salivary glands begin their soft work, releasing saliva, rich in water and enzymes. One such enzyme, amylase, begins breaking down carbohydrates, long chains of sugar into simpler forms. The tongue, strong yet graceful, rolls and mixes the food, forming it into a moist, swallowable shape known as a bolus. When ready, the bolus moves to the pharynx, the shared space of breathing and swallowing, and from there, it enters the esophagus, a muscular tube connecting mouth to stomach. This passage is not passive. It is guided by peristalsis, a wave-like contraction of smooth muscle that moves food downward, slowly, steadily, unhurried. At the base of the esophagus, a circular muscle known as the lower esophageal sphincter relaxes, allowing the food to enter the stomach. Now, the transformation deepens. The stomach is more than a pouch. It is a chamber of mixing and chemical change. Its inner walls secrete gastric juices, a blend of hydrochloric acid and enzymes like pepsin, which begin to unfold and break down proteins into smaller chains. Yet the stomach is also gentle. Its lining is coated in mucus to protect it from its own acidity. The muscles of the stomach churn the contents, not rapidly, but rhythmically, creating a thick, soupy mixture known as chyme. This churning can last several hours, depending on what you've eaten. Carbohydrates digest quickly. Proteins take longer. Fats, longest of all. When ready, the chyme is slowly released into the small intestine through a valve called the pyloric sphincter. Here, the true work of absorption begins. The small intestine is long, about 6 meters or 20 feet, but coiled so gently within the abdominal cavity that it fits without fanfare. It has 3 parts: the duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. In the duodenum, secretions arrive from 2 important helpers, the liver and the pancreas. The liver, the body's chemical factory, produces bile, a fluid that emulsifies fats, breaking them into smaller droplets, so enzymes can reach them more easily. The gallbladder, a small pouch beneath the liver, stores this bile and releases it when needed. The pancreas contributes digestive enzymes, amylase for carbohydrates, lipase for fats, proteases for proteins, as well as bicarbonate to neutralize stomach acid. Together, these fluids transform the chyme further until nutrients are ready to be absorbed. The inner lining of the small intestine is not smooth. It is covered in tiny finger-like projections called villi, and even smaller structures called microvilli. These form a vast surface like a velvet field, through which nutrients pass into the bloodstream. Sugars, amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins, minerals, all absorbed quietly, completely, and carried to where they are needed. What remains water, fiber, and waste moves onward into the large intestine, also known as the colon. Here, the rhythm slows even more. Water is reabsorbed, some minerals too. Friendly bacteria known as the gut microbiome continue to break down the remnants, producing gases and beneficial compounds. The colon is home to these microbes, trillions of them, which help with digestion, immunity, and even mood. Eventually, the remains of digestion reach the rectum, where they are stored briefly, before passing through the anal canal and exiting the body as feces. The entire journey from first bite to final release can take from 24 to 72 hours, and throughout it the body works patiently, quietly, digesting, absorbing, cleansing. The enteric nervous system, often called the second brain, lies within the walls of the digestive tract. It contains more than 100 million nerve cells, communicating with the brain above, but also acting independently. This is why digestion can continue even as you sleep. Even now, the soft waves of peristalsis continue. Nutrients move, and the body nourishes itself. Digestion is not hurried. It is not noisy. It does not ask for attention. It is a soft, biological unfolding, one that supports your energy, your strength, your clarity. And so, as you rest tonight, know that your body is gently working, transforming the food you've eaten, rebuilding cells, fueling your dreams. In the next part of our journey, we will explore how the body maintains balance in water and waste through the urinary system, your inner stream of filtration and renewal. But for now, rest in the quiet process of digestion, the slow journey of nourishment, the comfort of being fed, supported, and whole. Part 8. The urinary system, filtering and balance. Now, we continue inward, toward another gentle rhythm, one that does not digest or pump or breathe, but quietly filters, adjusts, and renews. This is the urinary system, a set of organs devoted to cleansing the blood, balancing fluids, and maintaining the delicate chemistry of your inner world. While often unnoticed, this system plays a central role in homeostasis, the body's constant balancing act. Its purpose is simple, but essential: to filter out what is no longer needed, and to retain what must be preserved. Let us begin with the kidneys, two bean-shaped organs, about the size of fists, located near the middle of your back, just beneath the rib cage. Each kidney is remarkably efficient, capable of filtering over 50 gallons of blood each day. From that, it produces about 1 to 2 quarts of urine, a soft yellow solution made of water, salts, and waste. Within the kidney lies a dense network of filtering units called nephrons. Each kidney contains around 1 million of them. Each nephron is like a tiny, self-contained purification plant, designed to separate the useful from the unneeded. Let us follow the path of the blood, gently. Blood enters the kidney through the renal artery, which branches into smaller vessels, until it reaches a structure called the glomerulus, a tiny ball of capillaries surrounded by a cup-like casing called Bowman's capsule. Here, pressure pushes water and small molecules out of the blood into the nephron's tubule, leaving behind larger components like red blood cells and proteins. This filtered fluid, now called filtrate, contains water, glucose, salts, urea, and other small molecules. But not everything in the filtrate will be lost. The body reclaims what it still needs. As the filtrate flows through the renal tubule, important substances like glucose, certain salts, and water are reabsorbed back into the bloodstream, guided by hormonal signals, osmotic gradients, and transporter proteins. What remains continues on, and eventually becomes urine, a quiet stream of liquid waste. From each kidney, the urine travels down thin tubes called ureters, one from each side, carrying the fluid to the urinary bladder. The bladder is a hollow, muscular sac. It expands slowly, accommodating fluid, drop by drop, until full. It signals the brain with a gentle urge. At rest, it holds about 400 to 600 milliliters, roughly a couple of cups. When the time is right, the urine passes out through the urethra, guided by coordinated muscle contractions, regulated by internal and external sphincters, one automatic, one voluntary. This entire journey is not only about elimination, but about balance. The kidneys help regulate the volume and composition of body fluids, adjusting the amount of water, sodium, potassium, calcium, and more. When water is scarce, such as during dehydration or sleep, the kidneys conserve it, producing concentrated urine. When fluids are plentiful, they release more freely. A hormone called antidiuretic hormone, or ADH, helps manage this water balance. It acts on the kidneys, increasing water reabsorption, ensuring that the body remains hydrated and stable. Another hormone, aldosterone, influences salt retention, which in turn affects blood pressure and fluid volume. These feedback loops are ongoing, sensitive, responsive, and precise. And all the while, waste products such as urea, a byproduct of protein metabolism, along with creatinine, ammonia, and certain toxins, are gently removed, carried out without disruption. The urinary system is also involved in regulating pH. The body's internal environment must remain slightly alkaline, around 7.4 on the pH scale. If the blood becomes too acidic or too basic, the kidneys adjust the levels of hydrogen ions and bicarbonate, restoring balance quietly. Beyond their role in filtration, the kidneys produce a hormone called erythropoietin, which stimulates the bone marrow to make red blood cells. They also help convert vitamin D into its active form, supporting calcium absorption and bone health. So these small organs, tucked away and rarely felt, are guardians of your inner chemistry, adjusting, filtering, and restoring with every passing moment. Even as you sleep, your kidneys continue their work, quietly monitoring your fluid levels, removing what is unnecessary, conserving what is essential. You may notice at night how the body seems calmer, more still, as if entering a phase of restoration. This is true on many levels. The parasympathetic nervous system slows the heart and softens breath. Muscles relax. Digestion winds down, and the kidneys too shift into nighttime mode. Urine production slows, so that rest is undisturbed, so that the body may focus on repair. All of this happens without your instruction. It is guided by feedback, rhythm, and deep intelligence. To release what you do not need, to hold on to what sustains you. This is the quiet wisdom of the urinary system. In the next part of our journey, we will explore another kind of defense, not of filtering, but of protecting. The immune system, your body's silent guardian. But for now, rest in the knowledge that your inner rivers are clean, your fluids in balance, your body renewing itself with every drop. Part 9. The immune system, quiet guardians of health. As you rest, surrounded by stillness, there is a watchful presence within you, vigilant, constant, and deeply kind. This presence does not sleep. It surveys the body in quiet loops, seeking balance, noticing change, and responding with grace, not haste. This is the immune system, a silent network of cells, tissues, and organs that guards your body from harm. It is not housed in one place, but woven throughout the body, in the blood, the skin, the gut, the marrow. It is both everywhere and nowhere at once, always active, always learning, always adapting. The immune system's purpose is simple: to distinguish what belongs from what does not, to recognize the self and protect it. Let us begin with its most basic sentinels, white blood cells, or leukocytes. Unlike red blood cells, which carry oxygen, white cells move like quiet guardians through the bloodstream and lymph, constantly seeking signs of danger. There are many kinds of white blood cells, each with its own task and temperament. Some respond quickly and broadly, others act with great precision. One group, the phagocytes, includes cells like neutrophils and macrophages. These are the first responders, cells that engulf invaders such as bacteria or debris, digesting them gently and silently. Then there are the lymphocytes, a more refined branch of the immune family. Two types, in particular, play central roles: B cells, which produce antibodies, and T cells, which recognize infected or abnormal cells. Antibodies are proteins that bind to specific targets: viruses, bacteria, toxins, marking them for removal or neutralizing them directly. They are like tiny keys, each crafted to fit only a certain lock. Once a threat is marked, other cells come to help, and slowly, quietly, balance is restored. Some B and T cells remain behind after the danger has passed. These become memory cells, long-lived sentinels that remember the intruder's shape. If the same threat returns, the response is faster, stronger, and often so efficient that you never feel a thing. This is how immunity is built, not as a wall but as a memory, a quiet wisdom that grows with time. Now let us look at where these defenders are formed and trained. The story begins in the bone marrow, a soft tissue within your bones. It is here that all blood cells are born, including white blood cells. Some stay in the marrow to mature. Others travel to the thymus, a small gland behind the breastbone, where T cells are educated, taught to recognize self from other, taught restraint, taught precision. As these cells mature, they circulate through the lymphatic system, a delicate network of vessels and nodes, parallel to the bloodstream. The lymphatic system carries lymph, a clear fluid rich in white blood cells. It flows slowly, guided by muscle movement and breath, filtered by lymph nodes scattered throughout the body, in the neck, the armpits, the abdomen, the groin. These nodes are checkpoints, small bean-shaped stations, where immune cells gather, examine, and respond. When infection is present, they may swell slightly, a sign that the immune system is at work. The spleen, located in the upper left of the abdomen, is another important organ. It filters the blood, recycles old red blood cells, and stores white blood cells and platelets for rapid response when needed. The skin, too, is part of the immune system, a physical barrier, yes, but also an active participant. It secretes oils and enzymes that deter microbes. It hosts friendly bacteria that keep invaders in check. The gut, lined with immune tissue, also plays a major role, monitoring what enters with food, fostering beneficial microbes, and alerting the immune system when something is amiss. And all of this happens quietly, without you needing to notice. You may catch a cold, recover without thought, and never know the full beauty of the defense that took place. The immune system must strike a balance, vigorous enough to protect, but restrained enough to avoid harming its own tissues. Sometimes, the balance falters, as in autoimmune diseases, where the immune system mistakenly targets the self, or in allergies, where it overreacts to harmless substances. But in most moments, in most people, the immune system performs with grace, protecting against billions of potential threats with astonishing accuracy. Even now, as you lie still, immune cells patrol your bloodstream, watching, waiting, prepared. If a virus should enter, if a cell behaves strangely, they are there, ready to respond. The system is dynamic, learning from every encounter, adjusting to every change. This is why vaccines work. They introduce a harmless piece of a pathogen, enough for the immune system to learn, but not enough to cause illness. The memory is stored, ready for the future. And so, immunity becomes not just a defense, but a kind of quiet education, one that begins in infancy and continues throughout life. In the next part of our journey, we'll explore the system that allows the body to move, to stretch, to lift, to hold. The muscular system, a network of strength and coordination. But for now, rest in the comfort of your immune system, your quiet guardian, your soft shield, ever watching, ever learning as you sleep. Part 10. The muscular system, movement with purpose. Now, let us turn our attention to the system that gives shape to motion, to stillness, to subtle tension and effortless control. This is the muscular system, a network of fibers woven through the body, enabling every gesture, every breath, every quiet shift in posture. It is not just the force behind lifting and walking, but also the steady rhythm of the heart, the gentle churn of digestion, the smooth dilation of blood vessels, and the silent coordination that allows you to move without even thinking. There are three main types of muscle in the body, each with its own pace and purpose. First, the skeletal muscles. These are the muscles we most often imagine, attached to bones by strong cords called tendons. These muscles move the limbs, tilt the head, hold the spine in place, and allow the body to interact with the world. Skeletal muscle is voluntary, meaning it is under conscious control. When you decide to reach, to stand, to turn, these muscles respond. They contract and relax in coordinated patterns, guided by signals from the nervous system. Each skeletal muscle is made up of bundles of fibers, long cylindrical cells arranged in rows. Inside, tiny units called sarcomeres slide past each other, pulling the muscle shorter with each contraction. This sliding is powered by ATP, the body's energy molecule, and regulated by calcium and specialized proteins. Second, the cardiac muscle, found only in the heart. It shares some structural features with skeletal muscle, but it works without conscious control. Cardiac muscle contracts rhythmically, beating about once per second for an entire lifetime. Its cells are connected by special junctions that allow electrical impulses to pass quickly, ensuring that the heart beats as one unified organ. This type of muscle is involuntary, guided by signals from within the heart itself, as well as from the nervous and endocrine systems. And third, the smooth muscle, found in the walls of hollow organs, the intestines, the bladder, the uterus, and the blood vessels. Smooth muscle contracts slowly and steadily, pushing food through the digestive tract, moving urine toward the bladder, adjusting the diameter of arteries to control blood flow. It is also involuntary, responding to chemical signals, hormones, and reflexes. You do not think about it, yet it moves within you, constantly. Together, these three types of muscle make up more than 40% of your body's mass. They provide not only motion, but also posture, heat, and stability. Even at rest, skeletal muscles hold the body upright, in balance against gravity. This gentle tension, called muscle tone, keeps the joints aligned, the head lifted, the spine supported. Muscle contractions also generate heat, a byproduct of cellular activity. In fact, when the body is cold, muscles begin to contract rapidly in small bursts, a process we call shivering, to help warm the blood. And when the body moves, muscles always work in pairs or groups. For example, when you bend your elbow, the biceps contract while the triceps relax. To extend the arm again, the process reverses. This balance of opposition, known as antagonistic action, is what allows smooth, controlled motion. Muscles adapt over time. They grow stronger with use, weaken with disuse, and repair when damaged, thanks to satellite cells, which aid in regeneration. Even in sleep, muscles continue to work. The diaphragm keeps breathing steady. The heart never pauses. The intestines slowly move. Even the tiny muscles in the eyes may twitch during REM sleep, a phase of vivid dreaming. And yet, during most of the night, the voluntary muscles enter a kind of stillness. They become quiet, soft, yielding to gravity. This is part of the body's restorative cycle, a time when muscles recover from the day's work, when tiny fibers heal and strength is quietly rebuilt. The muscles themselves are richly supplied with blood, bringing oxygen, removing waste. They are surrounded by connective tissue, which protects and binds them in groups. The largest muscles include the gluteus maximus in the hips, the quadriceps in the thighs, and the latissimus dorsi in the back. The smallest are found in the ears and the eyes, fine-tuners of hearing and gaze. Each muscle serves a purpose, not in isolation, but as part of a coordinated whole. When you walk, dozens of muscles fire in a rhythm. When you smile, multiple muscles shift subtly. Even blinking involves precise timing. This coordination is guided by the motor cortex in the brain, as well as by spinal reflexes that can act instantly, faster than thought. And all of this is learned. When a child first stands, or when someone relearns movement after injury, the brain and muscles create new pathways, a concept known as muscle memory. In this way, movement becomes effortless. Repetition leads to grace. Effort becomes ease. The muscular system reminds us that strength need not be forceful, that support can be quiet, that motion can be smooth, gentle, and precise. As you lie still now, your muscles rest. They release the day's contractions, uncoil, and soften into the bed beneath you. Even in stillness, they are alive, receptive, recovering, renewing. In the next part of our journey, we will explore the skeletal system, the structure that gives the body its shape and form, the frame upon which the muscles move. But for now, allow your muscles to melt into calm, knowing they have served you well, and that their rest is well earned. Part 11. The skeletal system, structure, and support. Now that we've followed the quiet power of your muscles, let us turn our attention to the frame that holds them. This is the skeletal system, a silent scaffolding of strength, rising beneath the skin, supporting your posture, your protection, your form. It is not just a structure, but a living tissue, responsive, adaptive, not stone, but substance in motion. The human body contains 206 bones, each with its own shape and role, from the long, weight-bearing femur in the thigh to the tiny stapes in the middle ear, smaller than a grain of rice. These bones come together to form a skeleton, balanced, articulated, and beautifully engineered. Bones are not just hard shells. They are dynamic organs, capable of healing, remodeling, and producing blood. Let us begin with their functions. First, support. The skeleton gives shape to the body, allowing us to stand, sit, and move with stability. It anchors muscles, holds organs in place, and serves as the framework upon which everything else depends. Second, protection. Delicate organs are guarded by bone. The skull cradles the brain. The rib cage shelters the heart and lungs. The vertebrae shield the spinal cord. Even the pelvis guards the lower digestive and reproductive organs. Third, movement. Bones do not move on their own, but they act as levers, pulled by muscles and guided by joints. This cooperation creates every motion, from a gentle nod to a long stride. Fourth, blood production. Within many bones lies bone marrow, a soft, nourishing tissue where red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets are formed. This process, known as hematopoiesis, occurs primarily in the pelvis, sternum, ribs, and long bones like the femur. And finally, mineral storage. Bones act as reservoirs of calcium, phosphorus, and other minerals, releasing or absorbing them as needed to maintain chemical balance in the blood. Now let's explore the structure of bone. Each bone is composed of two main types of tissue: compact bone and spongy bone. Compact bone forms the outer layer, dense and smooth, providing strength and rigidity. Spongy bone, found inside, has a porous, honeycomb-like structure, lightweight yet strong, designed to absorb force and house marrow. At the ends of long bones, you'll find epiphyses, rounded regions filled with spongy bone and covered in cartilage. This cartilage cushions joints and allows for smooth movement. The diaphysis, or shaft, is the long central portion, mostly compact bone, with a central canal called the medullary cavity, which contains yellow marrow, a fat-rich tissue. Each bone is covered by a thin membrane called the periosteum, a layer rich in blood vessels and nerves, essential for nourishment and healing. Within bones lie osteocytes, mature bone cells that maintain the matrix. There are also osteoblasts, which build new bone, and osteoclasts, which break down old bone. Together, these cells constantly reshape the skeleton, a process known as bone remodeling. This is not a rare event, but a lifelong rhythm. Your skeleton is renewed over time. Old bone is replaced by new, responding to pressure, movement, and need. Now let us gently walk through the major divisions of the skeleton. There are two primary regions: the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton forms the central core, consisting of the skull, vertebral column, and rib cage. The skull contains 22 bones, including the cranium, which protects the brain, and the facial bones, which shape the features. The vertebral column, or spine, is made of 33 vertebrae, stacked with soft discs between them. These discs absorb shock and allow for flexibility. The spine is divided into 5 sections: cervical, neck, thoracic, upper back, lumbar, lower back, sacral, and coccygeal, tailbone. The rib cage includes 12 pairs of ribs, joined at the back to the spine and in front to the sternum or breastbone. The appendicular skeleton includes the limbs and the girdles that attach them. The pectoral girdle, the shoulders, includes the clavicles, collarbones, and scapulae, shoulder blades. It connects the arms to the torso. The upper limbs include the humerus, upper arm, the radius and ulna, forearm, the carpals, metacarpals, and phalanges, wrist, hand, and fingers. The pelvic girdle, or hips, anchors the lower limbs and supports weight from above. The lower limbs include the femur, thigh, the body's longest bone, the patella, kneecap, the tibia and fibula, lower leg, and the bones of the foot, tarsals, metatarsals, and phalanges. Each of these bones connects at joints, where two or more bones meet. Some joints are immovable, like the sutures of the skull. Others are slightly movable, like those in the spine. But most are freely movable, like the shoulder, elbow, wrist, hip, knee, and ankle. These joints are classified by motion. Hinge joints, like the elbow and knee. Ball and socket joints, like the shoulder and hip. And pivot joints, like those in the neck. Joints are stabilized by ligaments, strong bands of connective tissue, and they are cushioned by synovial fluid, which lubricates movement, preventing friction and wear. Even at rest, the skeleton serves you. It gives shape, it holds you in alignment, it anchors your muscles, and it adapts, responding to motion, gravity, and time. As you sleep now, your bones are not still in spirit. They are being subtly reshaped, restored by minerals drawn from the blood, strengthened in response to the gentle stresses of your day. You may feel their presence now, the quiet length of the spine, the soft weight of your skull, the stillness of your arms and legs. These are not just parts. They are your structure, your support, your form. In the next part of our journey, we will explore the integumentary system, your skin, your hair, your outermost layer of protection and sensation. But for now, rest in the steadiness of your skeleton, the quiet strength beneath you, holding you, always, with grace. Part 12. The integumentary system, skin, hair, and protection. As we move ever closer to the surface of the body, we arrive at a system that wraps you gently, holds you in warmth, and shelters you from the world outside. This is the integumentary system, composed of your skin, hair, nails, and associated glands. It is your outermost layer, but it is far more than a covering. It is a barrier, a sensor, a communicator, and a healer. Let us begin with the skin, the largest organ of the human body. For the average adult, it covers roughly 2 square meters, weighs about 4 kilograms, and varies in thickness across the body. Thinnest on the eyelids, thickest on the soles of the feet. The skin has 3 primary layers: the epidermis, the dermis, and the hypodermis. The epidermis is the outermost layer. It is composed mostly of keratinocytes, cells that produce keratin, a tough, protective protein. These cells are born at the base of the epidermis and gradually move upward, dying as they reach the surface, forming a layer of dead cells that is eventually shed. This shedding happens continuously, a quiet renewal, as your skin refreshes itself roughly every 28 days. Within the lower layers of the epidermis are melanocyte cells that produce melanin, the pigment that gives skin its color and offers some protection from the sun's rays. The epidermis contains no blood vessels, but it is richly connected to the layers beneath. Beneath it lies the dermis, a thicker layer, rich in collagen and elastin fibers, giving skin its strength and flexibility. Here you'll find blood vessels, which nourish the skin and help regulate temperature, nerve endings, which sense touch, pressure, heat, and pain, sweat glands, which cool the body through evaporation, and sebaceous glands, which secrete sebum, an oily substance that keeps skin soft and waterproof. Hair follicles also originate in the dermis, tiny pockets from which hair grows. At the base of each follicle is a papilla, where nutrients support the formation of new hair cells. As new cells are produced, they push older cells upward, which harden and form the visible hair shaft. Each hair, though small, has its own life cycle, a growing phase, a resting phase, and eventually shedding. Hair helps regulate temperature, provides subtle protection, and plays a role in sensation. particularly the fine hairs on the arms and face. Attached to each follicle is a tiny muscle, the erector pili, which contracts in response to cold or emotion, causing the familiar sensation of goosebumps. Also formed in the skin are the nails, dense plates of keratin that grow from the nail matrix beneath the skin at the base of each nail. Nails protect the fingertips, enhance touch and grip, and grow slowly but steadily, about 3 millimeters per month on average. Below the dermis lies the hypodermis, or subcutaneous layer, a soft cushion of fat and connective tissue. This layer insulates the body, absorbs shock, and connects the skin to muscles and bones below. The integumentary system also plays an essential role in thermoregulation. When the body is warm, sweat glands release moisture to the surface, and blood vessels in the skin dilate, bringing warm blood closer to the air to release heat. When cold, these vessels constrict, preserving warmth in the deeper tissues. The skin is also part of the immune system. It acts as the first line of defense, keeping out pathogens, toxins, and irritants. Specialized cells in the skin, like Langerhans cells, detect invaders and alert the immune response. When the skin is injured, it responds with precision. Blood vessels narrow briefly, then dilate to bring healing cells. Clotting factors form a scab, beneath which fibroblasts rebuild tissue, and new skin forms quietly and steadily. The skin is also a sensor. Within it lie receptors that detect pressure, pain, vibration, stretch, and temperature. These allow you to sense the world, a breeze across the cheek, the warmth of sunlight, the softness of fabric. All of this is processed in an instant, and much of it happens below the level of awareness. Your skin also communicates. It flushes with warmth when embarrassed, pales when frightened, perspires with effort or stress, all silent signals of the body's internal state. Through every phase of life, the skin changes. In infancy, it is soft and delicate. In youth, resilient and vibrant. With age, it becomes thinner, less elastic, but always vital, always renewing. Even as you lie still now, your skin continues its gentle work. It adjusts to the room's temperature. It senses the fabric beneath you. It protects your inner world and connects you to the outer one. Though we may rarely think of it, our skin is always with us. Everywhere we go, it carries our scent, our texture, our warmth. It reflects our health and history. It is both shield and storyteller. And in this moment of rest, it too is resting, letting go, repairing what was worn, rebuilding from within. In the next part of our journey, we will turn to another quiet network, the lymphatic system, a subtle flow of fluid and immunity beneath the skin. But for now, feel your skin soften, your breath ease, and your body wrapped in its own quiet layer of care, the boundary of self, the surface of sensation, the skin always listening. Part 13. The lymphatic system, flowing quietly beneath the surface of the skin, beneath the muscles and vessels and bones, there flows a quiet, transparent river. It moves slowly, gently, without pulse or pressure, yet it touches every part of you. This is the lymphatic system, a delicate web of vessels, nodes, and tissues that supports your circulation, cleanses your fluids, and guards your body with silent vigilance. It is often overlooked, yet its presence is constant. Wherever blood flows, lymph follows, not in the same vessels, but in a system all its own. Let us begin with its essence. Lymph, a clear, pale fluid that arises from the spaces between cells. As blood circulates through the capillaries, some plasma seeps out into surrounding tissues. This fluid bathes the cells, delivering nutrients and collecting waste. Most of it returns directly to the bloodstream, but a portion enters the lymphatic vessels, where it becomes lymph, This lymph is not static. It flows slowly through lymphatic capillaries, tiny, thin-walled vessels that weave through tissues like delicate threads. From there, it is drawn into larger lymphatic vessels, guided not by a heart's beat, but by the movement of muscles, the rhythm of breath, and the presence of valves, which ensure the fluid moves in only one direction. Along this winding path, lymph flows through lymph nodes, small, bean-shaped structures nestled in clusters in the neck, armpits, chest, abdomen, and groin. Inside these nodes are immune cells, lymphocytes and macrophages, which filter the lymph, search for pathogens, and quietly protect the body from within. When the immune system is active, these nodes may swell slightly, a subtle sign of defense in action. Eventually, the cleansed lymph rejoins the bloodstream at the base of the neck, where the thoracic duct and right lymphatic duct empty into large veins. Thus, the loop is completed, fluid returns, balance is preserved, and the cycle begins again. But the lymphatic system does more than manage fluids. It is also a core part of the immune system. It houses and transports lymphocytes, a special type of white blood cell that recognizes and responds to invaders. These cells are born in the bone marrow and mature in different places. B cells often mature in the marrow itself. T cells mature in the thymus, a small gland located behind the sternum, active during childhood and adolescence. As these cells circulate, they gather in secondary lymphoid organs, including the spleen, tonsils, lymph nodes, and patches of immune tissue in the intestines known as Peyer's patches. The spleen, located in the upper left abdomen, serves as a filter for blood, removing aged cells, storing immune cells, and responding to threats in the bloodstream. The tonsils, found at the back of the throat, monitor the air and food we take in, and act as one of the body's early warning systems. In the gut, the lymphatic system plays another role, absorbing fats and fat-soluble vitamins from the small intestine. Special vessels called lacteals, located in each intestinal villus, take in these nutrients, which then travel through the lymph before entering the bloodstream. So even your digestion is quietly aided by this unseen system. And yet, for all its reach, the lymphatic system remains gentle. It flows without rush. It works without noise. It restores without demand. When you walk, or stretch, or breathe deeply, you help lymph move, assisting its flow through movement and rhythm. Even sleep is part of this process. During rest, a similar fluid called interstitial fluid circulates through the brain, aiding in waste removal, a process known as the glymphatic system. This too is a quiet washing, a cleansing of the mind, supported by sleep, guided by the body's natural ebb and flow. And like so much in the body, the lymphatic system responds to balance. It contracts and relaxes. It opens and closes. It adapts to need. When fluid accumulates abnormally, as in edema, the lymphatic system responds, drawing it back, carrying it home. When infection arises, lymph nodes gather cells, multiply defenses, and quietly engage the body's wisdom. And when the immune task is done, swelling recedes, calm returns, and the flow continues. You may never feel it, but the lymphatic system is always with you, clearing, transporting, protecting, a stream beneath the stream. In the next part of our journey, we'll explore the reproductive system, the system of continuity, of generation, of life moving forward in time. But for now, rest in the gentle drift of lymph, the slow, clean pulse beneath the surface, flowing quietly, restoring balance as you sleep. Part 14. The reproductive system, the continuation of life. Now, in the stillness of rest, we turn gently to a system unlike any other. It is not essential for the survival of the individual, but it is the reason the human story continues. This is the reproductive system, a collection of organs, hormones, and cycles designed to create, nurture, and pass on life. It is a system rooted in biology, but also one deeply interwoven with identity, continuity, and the quiet rhythm of generations. Unlike many systems, the reproductive organs differ between male and female forms, each with distinct roles, but working toward a shared purpose: reproduction and renewal. Let us begin with the female reproductive system, a system shaped by cycles, guided by hormones, and capable of the most profound transformation: the carrying of new life. It includes both external and internal structures. Externally, there is the vulva, the collective term for the outer genitalia, including the labia, the clitoris, and the vaginal opening. These structures are sensitive to touch, protected by folds of skin, and richly supplied with blood and nerves. Internally, the journey continues with the vagina, a flexible muscular canal that connects the outside world to the uterus. The uterus, often called the womb, is a pear-shaped organ with thick muscular walls and a soft lining. It is here that a fertilized egg may implant and grow, held in warmth and safety. On either side of the uterus are the fallopian tubes, slender passages that connect to the ovaries. These tubes serve as the pathway for the egg or ovum to travel during ovulation. The ovaries are small, almond-shaped organs that release eggs in a monthly rhythm and produce important hormones like estrogen and progesterone. This rhythmic sequence of events, ovulation, thickening of the uterine lining, and, if no fertilization occurs, menstruation, is known as the menstrual cycle. It typically lasts about 28 days. Though the timing can vary from person to person, it is not just a physical cycle, but also a hormonal dance, gently shifting mood, energy, and sensation. Should an egg be fertilized by a sperm cell, it may implant in the uterus and begin the process of pregnancy. Over the course of approximately 40 weeks, the uterus expands, nourishes, and protects the developing fetus. This transformation is guided by hormones like human chorionic gonadotropin HCG, relaxin, and rising levels of progesterone, which soften ligaments, expand tissues, and prepare the body for birth. When the time comes, the uterus contracts in waves, guided by oxytocin, a hormone of labor and love. These contractions bring about childbirth, and the cycle continues, life passed on. Now let us turn gently to the male reproductive system, a system built for sperm production, hormone regulation, and delivery of genetic material. The primary organs here are the testes, housed in the scrotum, a pouch of skin suspended just outside the body. The location is purposeful. Sperm production requires a slightly cooler temperature than the rest of the body can provide. Within the testes, tiny coiled tubes called seminiferous tubules produce sperm cells continuously, millions each day. It is a quiet, rhythmic process known as spermatogenesis, guided by the hormone testosterone. From the testes, sperm move into the epididymis, where they mature and are stored. During ejaculation, sperm travel through the vas deferens, mixing with secretions from 3 accessory glands: the seminal vesicles, the prostate gland, and the bulbourethral glands. These secretions nourish the sperm, protect them, and create the fluid known as semen. This fluid is then expelled through the urethra, which passes through the penis, a structure that can become engorged with blood through a process called erection, facilitating the delivery of sperm. Though male fertility remains relatively stable across adulthood, hormone levels, particularly testosterone, gradually decline with age. The reproductive system in both sexes is closely tied to the endocrine system. Gonadal hormones influence not only reproduction, but also mood, body structure, energy levels, and emotional intimacy. Sexual development begins in puberty, triggered by hormonal signals from the brain, specifically the hypothalamus and pituitary gland. These signals awaken the reproductive organs, beginning the long and intricate process of maturation. And later, in life's quieter stages, there are transitions once more. Menopause in females, a gradual andropause in some males, each marked by changing rhythms and hormonal patterns. Through it all, the reproductive system remains a system of potential. Its purpose is not only biological, but deeply human, connecting us to origins, to partners, to the unfolding of generations. Yet it does not demand action. It simply prepares, sustains, and when needed, steps forward to fulfill its quiet task. Even in rest, reproductive hormones continue to cycle. Ovaries and testes adjust their signals. The uterus sheds or builds its lining. The brain receives and responds, all without command, all in gentle time. In the next part of our journey, we will explore the sensory systems, those that allow you to see, hear, touch, taste, and smell the world around you. But for now, rest in the knowledge that within you lies the blueprint of life, the power to begin again, and the quiet continuity that has connected all humans through all time. Part 15. Sensory systems. Touch, taste, sight, and sound. As you drift in stillness now, your body, though resting, continues to listen, not with ears alone, but with skin, eyes, tongue, nose, and the nerves that carry every whisper inward. This is the realm of the sensory systems, the intricate pathways that let you perceive the world. They translate light into vision, vibration into sound, pressure into touch, chemistry into taste and smell. Through them, you sense life, but also remember, feel, and orient yourself within it. Let us begin gently with the sense of touch, perhaps the oldest and most constant. You feel it now, in the surface beneath you, in the softness of fabric, in the slight warmth of your own skin. Touch is detected by specialized receptors embedded in the skin, especially in the dermis and epidermis. Some respond to pressure, others to temperature, and others to pain or vibration. Mechanoreceptors such as Meissner's corpuscles and Pacinian corpuscles detect light pressure and deep vibration. Thermoreceptors sense warmth or coolness. Nociceptors respond to stimuli the body interprets as harmful. These signals travel along sensory neurons through the spinal cord to the brain, specifically the somatosensory cortex, where sensation is interpreted. Touch is also emotional. A gentle hand, a warm embrace. These are processed not only in the skin, but in the limbic system, the brain's center for emotion. Now let us taste, not with the tongue tonight, but with quiet understanding. The sense of taste, or gustation, begins in the mouth. The tongue is covered in tiny bumps called papillae, many of which contain taste buds, clusters of receptor cells that respond to 5 primary flavors: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami, the savory richness found in broths and proteins. Each taste bud opens into a taste pore, where molecules in food interact with receptor cells. These signals are carried by cranial nerves, including the facial, glossopharyngeal, and vagus nerves, to the brainstem and gustatory cortex. But taste is rarely alone. It is intertwined with smell, texture, and temperature, creating the full experience of flavor. Now, breathe in slowly and imagine the sense of smell. Olfaction begins in the nasal cavity, high up in a region lined with olfactory epithelium. Here, Molecules from the air bind to receptors on olfactory neurons, each specialized for certain types of scent. These neurons send signals through the olfactory bulb at the base of the brain, and then to areas involved in memory and emotion, such as the amygdala and hippocampus. This is why a single aroma, a flower, a spice, a distant perfume, can bring back vivid memories or stir gentle emotion. Smell bypasses the thalamus, a relay center most senses pass through, and instead connects directly to the limbic system. It is primal, direct, and deeply personal. Next, we turn to the eyes, organs of light and clarity. Vision begins when light enters the cornea, the transparent dome at the front of the eye. From there, it travels through the aqueous humor, passes the pupil, whose size adjusts through the colored iris, and then through the lens, which bends to focus the light precisely. The image is projected onto the retina, a delicate layer lining the back of the eye. There, millions of photoreceptors await, rods which detect light and shadow, and cones which sense color and fine detail. These receptors convert light into electrical signals, sent via the optic nerve to the visual cortex in the occipital lobe. There, the brain assembles the image, not as a raw reflection, but as understanding. You don't just see shapes and colors. You see faces, landscapes, motion, stillness. Your brain fills in, interprets, and constructs the world through light. Even in darkness, the eyes remain open, resting perhaps, but always ready to receive the morning again. And now, listen. The sense of hearing or audition begins not in the ear itself, but in the movement of air. Sound is vibration, waves that travel through space, touching the outer ear, moving down the ear canal, and striking the tympanic membrane or eardrum. These vibrations pass through the tiny ossicles, the malleus, incus, and stapes, three of the smallest bones in the body. From there, the vibration enters the cochlea, a spiral-shaped structure in the inner ear. Inside the cochlea is fluid, and within that the basilar membrane, lined with tiny hair cells. Each hair cell responds to specific frequencies, and as they move, they generate nerve signals sent along the auditory nerve to the auditory cortex in the brain's temporal lobe. And so, you hear not just sound, but language, music, quiet. The inner ear also contains the vestibular system, which helps you sense balance and spatial orientation. Fluid shifts in semicircular canals, informing your brain of your position in space. Whether you are lying down, turning, or still, these senses, touch, taste, smell, sight, hearing, connect you to the world. They let you explore, learn, respond, and remember. Yet even when the senses are quiet, as they are now, they continue to serve. Your skin still feels, your ears still listen, your breath still carries scent, your eyes detect even dim light, your mouth tastes the air. In the next part of our journey, we'll reflect on how all of these systems work together to maintain balance, a principle known as homeostasis. But for now, allow your senses to soften, to drift into the background, as you rest in the quiet harmony of the body, designed not only to act, but to feel. Part 16, the body in harmony, integration, and homeostasis. Now, we draw nearer to the heart of our journey, not a single system, but a gentle meeting place between them all. This is the realm of homeostasis, the body's quiet art of balance. It is the harmony beneath every breath, every heartbeat, every thought and motion. Homeostasis is the reason the body can stay steady, even when the world outside is full of change. Whether you are sleeping in darkness or walking in daylight, whether it is warm or cold, whether you have just eaten or fasted for hours, your internal environment remains remarkably constant. The word homeostasis comes from Greek homeo, meaning same, and stasis, meaning standing still. But this stillness is not the absence of activity. It is a delicate dance, a continuous adjustment of temperature, pressure, pH, hydration, and more, made possible by the seamless cooperation of all your systems. Let us follow these balances one by one. First, body temperature. The ideal temperature for human enzymes and cellular function is around 37 degrees Celsius or 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. When the body becomes too warm, the hypothalamus, a region deep in the brain, senses the change. It sends signals to sweat glands, promoting cooling through evaporation. It tells blood vessels in the skin to dilate, bringing more warm blood to the surface, where heat is released into the air. When cold, the reverse occurs. Vessels constrict, keeping warmth deep within. Muscles shiver, generating heat. You might curl into yourself, conserving energy, a quiet gesture of survival. Next, blood glucose, the body's main source of fuel. After a meal, as sugar enters the blood, the pancreas releases insulin, guiding cells to absorb glucose for energy or storage. Between meals, when blood sugar falls, the pancreas releases glucagon, which prompts the liver to release stored glucose. This feedback system keeps energy available, not too much, not too little, but just enough. Then there is blood pressure, the force of blood against vessel walls. The heart, the blood vessels, and the kidneys all play roles in adjusting pressure. When pressure rises, vessels may relax, the kidneys may excrete more water, and the heart may slow. When pressure drops, vessels narrow, the kidneys conserve fluids, and the heart quickens. All of this is monitored by receptors in arteries and managed without your needing to ask. Another balance the pH of your blood. For most functions to proceed smoothly, your blood must remain slightly alkaline, around 7.4 on the pH scale. If pH strays too far in either direction, proteins may change shape, enzymes may stop working, and cells may become damaged. To prevent this, the body uses buffer systems, as well as the lungs and kidneys. When carbon dioxide levels rise, making the blood more acidic, you breathe faster, expelling CO2s. The kidneys, too, can excrete hydrogen ions and reabsorb bicarbonate, restoring the pH to its quiet place. There is also the balance of fluids and electrolytes: water, sodium, potassium, calcium, and more. These are maintained by the urinary system, especially the nephrons of the kidneys, which filter, reabsorb, and release substances according to need. Antidiuretic hormone, ADH, adjusts water retention. Aldosterone influences salt and potassium levels. Together, these create an internal sea of precisely the right concentration. Even oxygen levels are monitored. When oxygen falls, receptors in the arteries signal the brain, which adjusts breathing rate. The heart may beat faster, delivering oxygen more quickly to tissues. And all of this is coordinated, not in isolation, but together. The nervous system detects. The endocrine system communicates. The circulatory system delivers. The urinary system filters. The respiratory system adjusts. The muscular system responds. The skeletal system supports. The integumentary system insulates. The immune system protects. The reproductive system aligns with natural cycles. The digestive system provides nourishment. The lymphatic system clears and cleanses, and the sensory systems perceive the subtle shifts. It is not just anatomy, it is orchestration, and though these adjustments are constant, they rarely reach your awareness. You do not need to think about maintaining temperature, or regulating pH, or balancing electrolytes. Your body does this, gently, endlessly, while you work, speak, dream, or simply lie still. And so, in this moment, as you rest deeper into comfort, know that your body is not paused. It is balancing, tuning, listening, and healing. Even as you sleep, homeostasis continues. Cells renew, hormones adjust, blood flows, and stillness becomes strength. In the final part of our journey, we will softly revisit all we have seen, a gentle recap of the body's systems, a lullaby of knowledge to ease you into the deepest rest. But for now, feel the peace of balance, the quiet intelligence within you, the harmony of a body always working toward wholeness and never asking for thanks. Part 17: Rest, Repair, and Renewal. Now, as the night deepens and your breath continues its soft rhythm, we enter the final phase of the body's quiet cycle, the time of rest, repair, and renewal. This is not an absence of activity. It is a sacred phase, a time of healing, when the work of the day gives way to deeper processes that unfold in silence. Sleep is not a pause. It is a state of transformation, one that allows the body to restore itself and the mind to reorganize, to let go, and to grow. Throughout the night, the body enters repeating cycles of non-REM and REM sleep. Non-REM sleep comes first, a gradual descent into quiet. It begins with light sleep when the muscles relax, heart rate slows, and body temperature drops. As sleep deepens, the body enters slow-wave sleep, also known as deep sleep. This is when repair begins. During this phase, the pituitary gland releases growth hormone, which stimulates tissue repair and muscle regeneration. Proteins are built, wounds begin to heal, cells divide and renew. The immune system strengthens, preparing the body for another day. Bone marrow produces new blood cells. The liver clears toxins. The muscles release tension and recover. The heart rate and blood pressure remain low, giving the cardiovascular system a time of ease. Then, after deep rest, the mind begins to stir again, and the body enters REM sleep, rapid eye movement. This is the phase of dreams. During REM, the brain becomes active, but the body remains still. Most skeletal muscles are paralyzed, a protective stillness that prevents acting out the dreams that begin to unfold. This is a time of mental restoration. Neural pathways are strengthened, memories are sorted and stored. Emotional experiences are processed and softened. What was confusing may become clearer. What was painful may become lighter. During REM, the brain performs its subtle maintenance, reinforcing what matters, releasing what no longer serves. Sleep also supports the brain's lymphatic system, a cleansing network that removes waste products from between brain cells. It is most active during deep sleep, when cells shrink slightly, making room for cerebrospinal fluid to flow and carry away toxins. In this way, sleep protects not only physical health, but also clarity, memory, and emotional balance. Across the night, these sleep stages cycle and repeat, each time deepening their work. On average, a full cycle lasts about 90 minutes, and most people complete 4 to 6 cycles in a full night of rest. Even dreams serve a purpose. They blend experience and emotion, symbol and memory, weaving fragments into stories that may not always make sense, but still hold meaning. And while your thoughts may fade, your body continues its gentle rhythm. Bones rebuild, Skin regenerates, muscles recover, hormones adjust, blood is refreshed, lymph continues to circulate, digestion slows, but does not stop. The heart beats in calm cadence, the lungs breathe steadily, everything moves toward balance, toward wholeness. In waking life, the body responds. In sleep, it restores. You are not separate from this process. You are not merely carried by it. You are part of it. Every cell, every system, gently entering its phase of healing and preparation. Rest is not laziness. It is wisdom. It is part of nature, shared by all living beings. The circadian rhythm, your internal clock, is synchronized with light and darkness. It governs cycles of alertness and fatigue, hormone levels, digestion, body temperature, and even mood. The hormone melatonin, released from the pineal gland, rises with nightfall, guiding the body towards stillness. When light returns, melatonin fades, and the cycle begins again. This pattern is not mechanical, it is ancient. It connects you with the sun, with the seasons, with every life form that sleeps and wakes. And as you sleep, your body does not forget you. It cradles you in rhythms, older than thought, wiser than memory. Sleep also softens the nervous system. The sympathetic system, which governs alertness and action, gives way to the parasympathetic system, which guides rest, digestion, and healing. This is your body's true recovery mode. Here, it slows, releases, and repairs. Even now, as you rest, growth is happening. Balance is being restored. What was frayed is mending. What was worn is being gently renewed. In the final part of our journey, we will softly return to the beginning, a gentle recap of all the systems, each one working in harmony, each one part of the whole that is you. But for now, let yourself drift, knowing that deep within, your body is carrying out its quiet purpose, with grace, with care, and with peace. Part 18, a soft recap, whispering the systems again. Now, as your breath remains steady, as the night deepens, and your body enters its quiet rhythm, we return, softly, to the beginning, not to review with urgency, but to whisper once more, the systems of your body, the ones we've journeyed through together, gently, patiently, with wonder. They are not separate. They are not competing. They are parts of a single design, interwoven, always in motion, always working together. We begin, as before, with the nervous system, the great communicator. It senses the world, interprets light, sound, touch, and sends messages at the speed of thought. The brain, the spinal cord, the nerves, all coordinating movement, memory, emotion. It is swift. It is subtle. It is always listening. Alongside it, the endocrine system, quieter, slower, but no less powerful. It speaks in hormones, shaping growth, metabolism, sleep, and mood. The thyroid, the pituitary, the adrenals, each gland part of a larger conversation, whispering balance into the blood. The circulatory system flows unceasingly, a river within. The heart beats gently now. Blood delivers oxygen, collects carbon dioxide, feeds each cell. Arteries carry outward, veins return inward. Capillaries connect all, a loop of life, steady and sure. With every breath you take, the respiratory system rises and falls. Air flows through nose and throat, into lungs, through bronchi and bronchioles, until it reaches the alveoli, where oxygen enters the blood, and breath becomes life. The digestive system follows a winding path, from the mouth, through stomach, into the intestines, where nutrients are drawn in and sent through the blood, liver, pancreas, gallbladder, all quietly supporting the slow transformation of food into fuel. The urinary system, with kidneys filtering the blood, maintains water and salt balance, excreting what is not needed, preserving what is, from nephron to ureter, to bladder, to release, a silent cleansing. The immune system never sleeps. White blood cells, lymphocytes, macrophages travel through blood and lymph, seeking what does not belong, defending, remembering, healing. It is your unseen guardian, working with precision and calm. The muscular system gives you motion, but also posture, strength, and warmth. Skeletal muscles contract and relax. Smooth muscles move organs. Cardiac muscle beats unceasingly. Even in sleep, the diaphragm and heart remain in motion. The skeletal system, the framework beneath it all, bones that support, joints that allow motion, marrow that creates blood. It is firm, yet alive, constantly being rebuilt, quietly holding you upright. The integumentary system, your skin, your hair, your nails, wraps you gently. It protects, senses, cools, and warms. It renews daily and rests with you now in soft stillness. The lymphatic system, flowing alongside the blood, clears waste, absorbs fats, supports immunity. It moves without a pump, guided by muscle and breath, carrying clarity through the body. The reproductive system, rooted in continuity, in the passing forward of life. Ovaries and testes, uterus and penis, all part of a quiet design, not required for daily life, but essential to human generations. And the sensory systems, touch, taste, smell, sight, and hearing, your bridges to the world. With them you perceive, and also remember, and feel, each system with its own task, each one supporting the others. They overlap, they communicate, they adjust, and together, they sustain the miracle of being alive. Through all these systems runs a single thread, homeostasis, the body's quiet balancing act. It keeps your temperature steady, your blood sugar smooth, your fluids in rhythm, your pH in range. It is never off. It is never resting. And yet, you can rest because your body carries you, even in sleep, even now, as your thoughts become lighter, as your breath slows just a little more, as your body settles into its own rhythm. Know that nothing is forgotten. Every system, every function, every cell is part of this soft, silent concert of being. There is nothing to fix, nothing to force, only to trust and let go. You are held by design, carried by rhythm, sustained by something deeper than thought. And so, let the systems continue their gentle work as you slip fully into rest, restoring, renewing, in the quiet of your own body.